So we are quickly approaching the next major update in Arc Raiders, which is going to be dropping on March 31st, and that is of course the Flashpoint update, which I did discuss in a previous video what we know about it so far. We don't know too much, but there are some new details that I did want to talk about in today's video, as well as a brand new set of patch notes that do explain something a little bit interesting about the way the Arc Raiders developers are kind of handling quality of life improvements and major updates. So before we break all of this down, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications set to all so you can stay up to date with all of the content here on the channel, and let's just dive right on into it. So first things first, what we know about the Flashpoint update is that basically we are going to be getting a bunch of new content. It looks like this update might not be as large as the Shrouded Sky update, but it's definitely going to be one of the larger ones here in the game. We're supposed to be getting a good amount of content this time around. Since I already talked about this in depth in a previous video, I will just quickly kind of go through what's going to be in the update in case you didn't see that one. But basically there's going to be a new map condition, which it seems like it's going to be related somewhat to lightning in some capacity because of the icon here on the roadmap. We're going to be getting a new arc threat, a new player project, which like we had last time, the player project was a weather monitoring system. This time it's not clear what it is, but from the way the actual icon looks, it does seem like it might be some sort of satellite or some sort of thing that kind of detects something in some capacity. And then finally, we're going to be seeing an update for Scrappy. Those are the confirmed things here based on the roadmap. The roadmap doesn't actually encompass all of the content that we will be seeing, just because the Arc Raiders roadmap was released really early on when the game launched, and obviously things do change over time. But what we know so far from some updates over on the Arc Raiders official social media pages is that we actually might be seeing a little bit more than just what we saw in that roadmap. So one of the new additions it looks like we're going to be getting in the Flashpoint update is actually an arc that's already in the game, kind of being spread out across the map. So in a post yesterday on X, Arc Raiders put up a video, and it's not really clear what's going on in the video. It just kind of seems like a lot of ambient noise, and then at the very end of the video you hear what sounds like an arc, and the sound is obviously that of the Shredder arc. So they said in the caption that someone forgot to close the doors of Stella Montis, and you have to check your corners, and the Flashpoint update drops next week. So basically what I'm getting from this is, what's implied is that the Shredder arc is going to be put across different maps here in Arc Raiders, so we might actually be seeing that as a new part of the update. It's not clear though if this means that the new arc threat is going to be the Shredder on new maps, or if we're going to be getting a separate arc. What I'm hoping is that we are going to be getting a new arc, just because, you know, last time we did get the Rocketeer and the Firefly arcs, so I'm hoping that we get at least one new arc this time around. But it does look like the Shredder is going to be on multiple maps here in Arc Raiders. So the Shredder is probably one of the more annoying arcs in my opinion to kind of deal with. They're very powerful. You can fight it if you have a strategy, but if you're caught off guard by them, they are definitely very tough arcs to fight. For the most part, the arcs are pretty tough here in Arc Raiders, but you know, the Shredder is definitely one of those that can really get on your nerves pretty quickly. But it looks like it's going to be on some of the other maps, which I guess I'm not really excited to have to deal with it on some of the more kind of tight corridor sort of maps here in Arc Raiders, but you know, a new challenge to the game basically is never a bad thing. And then in the last video I mentioned that the previous teaser that they posted on March 20, which showed somebody kind of working on building something behind a closed door, that I kind of suspect that we might be seeing a new weapon or something related to the weapons here in Arc Raiders, but of course they haven't exactly given us details on that just yet. But anyways, in regards to the patch notes that released today, they're pretty small. There's not a lot going on here, but there is an important note that I kind of want to talk about in these patch notes. But just to go through kind of the main stuff here quickly, patch 1.2 1.0 includes a new Raider toolset, a new backpack set, and they fixed a crash that would sometimes occur with DirectX 11. They also fixed an issue where players could get stuck inside the harvester and between destroyed arc parts, and they fixed an exploit that allowed players to walk through walls while picking up a fuel cell or field world crate. So these are just very small fixes, just little quality of life stuff. They did mention here as well that the team is hard at work for the Flashpoint update and they're excited for us to dive into that new content. So a lot of the times, if you guys have noticed, these patch notes tend to be pretty small in terms of what actually gets fixed at a time, and a lot of people were asking the devs, it seems like, why is it that the patch notes are usually really small and then we'll get like one huge update with a ton of stuff in the patch notes and then a bunch of other really small ones? And basically what the developers here said is that the updates are focused on smaller quality of life improvements. So these weekly patch notes are for bugs, glitches, errors, and then store rotation. So obviously, when you go into Arc Raiders in the store, you can see that the store refreshes every couple of days. And usually these refreshes will include anything from new bundles, new skins, new hairstyles, new faces, new face paint, whatever it may be that they're releasing. So every now and then they release new content to the store. They said that the larger content heavy updates are planned currently for the end of each month. So this is a really important note here. Basically, all of these giant updates, it seems like, such as the Flashpoint update, and then next month is Riven Tides for April. It looks like we're going to start seeing all of these at the end of the month. Now, I'm not necessarily sure why they're waiting so late into the month to release updates, but it seems like maybe, they want to just kind of get enough time to push the content properly and to work out any bugs and glitches before they release an update, which personally, I would prefer that developers take their time and actually work through stuff rather than half bake and release just to get things done. And so far, the updates and the game has been running pretty smoothly despite any hiccups that happen here and there. I kind of usually expect that Arc Raiders runs pretty well when I boot up, a game. So I think it's not a bad thing that they are focusing on kind of working through the bigger updates and then launching them at the end of each month. But from this, we can kind of assume that all of these big updates are going to be an end of month type of thing. So whether or not that kind of sits well with players is yet to be seen, but they did clarify basically why the small updates happen every week and then why we have to wait for those larger updates. So the new store update today for the backpack set and Raider tool set are the Cartographer backpack set and then the Spyglass Raider tool set, as you can see pictured in this image here. I personally don't really care too much about the backpack and the tool sets and things like that, but if you do like to see what's in the store every now and then, this is what's coming in today's update. So in terms of the Wasp Hunter set, this one is going to be dropping officially on March 31st. So this is a pretty interesting set. It's got a Wasp Hunter outfit with some color variants. As we can see, 2 of the color variants. Not sure if there's going to be more, but we can see at least 2. I assume at least 3 color variants like most of the other skins here in the game. There's also going to be a backpack color variant and then a scrappy outfit where he gets a Wasp Hunter helmet, a Raider tool, and then 2400 Raider tokens. So this is going to be a more premium skin bundle. It costs actual money, but you do get tokens to make up for that. So not a bad value if you really want the skin and maybe some extra tokens anyways to get some other skins. The Wasp Hunter one is definitely one of the better ones I've seen recently, but it's definitely an acquired taste. It just kind of looks a little bit odd, but it's kind of cool to see how Arc Raiders is taking things from the actual world and showing it through the lore here. I can imagine, somebody in real life would definitely be wearing, pieces of these arcs on them, as kind of like trophies or things like that. But, definitely an interesting set. It's available to wishlist on Steam if you have the game through Steam. I know this one has had some pretty encouraging responses from people. A lot of people have really liked this one, but we'll see what happens with the Flashpoint update. This one's definitely coming with the Flashpoint update, but it's not clear if there's going to be more or if this is just kind of the first and only thing they're going to drop on that day. We'll just have to wait and see. Every now and then they do release some pretty good skin bundles. So that's all I kind of wanted to cover in today's video. The patch notes weren't super big or anything like that, but there's definitely a lot that we can expect to see in the Flashpoint update. We're probably going to be hearing more in the next coming days because there's only a few days left until the update drops. I'm pretty excited to see how they're going to implement a new map condition. I do like to play on those map conditions a lot. I think they definitely add some variety to the game. Hopefully we'll also be getting to hear a little bit more about the upcoming expedition window, if there's going to be any changes to the way expeditions work just like they did last time. But yeah, let me know in the comments below how you feel about what's going on with Arc Raiders, what you think about the next upcoming update, those sorts of things. Leave a like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications set to all so you can stay up to date with all of the content here on the channel. And that's all for today, folks.